Hello guys, welcome back to English class. Today we're gonna be checking some vocabulary and expressions in this field about the news. So before we start this class, it's needed for you to have your student's book on pages 82 and 83, as well as your notebook, and you have to use your red, black, and blue pens. And when you are going to fill in the exercises, completing them, it's necessary that you use your pencil. So, knowing this or keeping this in mind, let's start. You can address your attention to the exercise number 1, where you have some pictures there about some newspapers, some tabloids. So, instructions mentioned. Look at the different newspapers featuring the same story. Answer the questions. So as you can see, we have these 3 different pictures, and the 3 of them are talking about the same topic, the same news. So for that reason, you have to answer this. Where is the story? And you have to describe it here. Which newspaper is broadsheet and which is a tabloid? How do you know? As you can see, there are different formats between this. For example, you can see this little newspaper, which is a tabloid. And we have these others that are the common newspapers we know. So you are allowed here to give your answer and to explain a little bit further about the difference. And after doing this, you can continue with this other exercise and the number 3. It says, complete the table with the features in the box. So here we have the characteristics or the features of tabloid newspapers and broadsheet newspapers. This means this is the normal newspaper we know, the huge one, okay? So we can see in the tabloid newspapers characteristics or features such as short sentences, it's colorful, bold layout, dramatic images, shorter articles, focus on human interest stories, celebrity gossip. A good example of a local newspaper we know is this famous newspaper or tabloid in this case. The name is Orale, and it meets these characteristics, especially because this tabloid uses short sentences, it's very colorful, it has dramatic and very explicit pictures. They are short articles, and it is more focused in stories and gossip about politics and celebrities. On the other hand, we have the broadsheet newspapers, such as an example here of a local newspaper like this is Dictamen and probably Notiver. These ones are broadsheet newspapers. Why? Because apparently, in this case, they use formal language. They are plain, simple layout. They are factual, longer articles, and serious headlines. Okay, this about serious headlines do not apply to Notiver, but this is more in the Dictamen newspaper. So these are mentioned only for examples to have in mind, and then you can understand better the kind of newspapers that are like tabloid and broadsheet. So we're gonna continue doing this exercise. You have to choose what are other characteristics this kind of newspaper have. So let's start with tabloid newspaper. It uses informal language, of course. It's dramatic and sensationally tones, and it has jokes in headlines. I think Notiver fits more in this category, however it has the size and the format of a broadsheet newspaper. What about this part? So this one must use complex sentences, subtle images, and focus on politics, news, high culture. So basically it would be another level of newspaper, right? maybe like in the Washington Post or the New York Times, which use a really high formal language, subtle images, complex sentences. It's another level. So probably here in Mexico we don't have a really good example of this, or better said, we don't have a good example of this here in Veracruz. But we have other very well-known examples, such as the ones I mentioned before. And let's continue. It says here, work in pairs, but that's not possible, right? So you're gonna discuss these questions. What are you gonna do here? It's for homework. So you use your post-it and you're gonna answer these questions. What different types of newspaper are there in your country? So you could describe more about the newspapers you know, and if you don't know anything about newspapers, ask your parents these questions, so you can have actual answers about these questions. The next one says, do you read newspapers? Why and why not? Where do you get your knowledge of current affairs from? And how has the news changed with technology? Nobody nowadays of young people read newspapers. It's more what you find on the social media. And let's see here. This is a pretty interesting exercise. It says, read the headlines in the word zone. What do the word symbol mean? So we can find these words that maybe we're not really acquainted with these ones, like slammed, fury, flee, clash, back, blow. With this context, it's not like so common for us to use, but we're gonna see the answers for this exercise in the following exercise, of course. So let's go here, and you're gonna take the answers for number 6 and number 7. So it says vocabulary used in headlines. We have number 1, government's slang for failing to take action against drink driving. Number 2, fury over pop stars Twitter comments. 3, teenagers plea to cyberbullies. 4, Chelsea and Barca clash in Champions League. Number 5, MPS back plans to lower voting age to 16. And 6, cuts the minimum wage, a serious blow for young people. So what are the definitions? We have here criticize, encounter each other, support, urgent and emotional request, extreme anger, a sudden event which has a damaging effect. So there's a number, but the word blow means a sudden event which has a damaging effect. Back refers to support, slam refers to criticized, plea refers to urgent and emotional request, clash refers to encounter each other, and fury, extreme anger. Furia is fury. So take notice of this exercise for solving this order, please. You can take the answers from this exercise. And let's step forward to the vocabulary. It says complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs in the box. So we have catch up on, grab, lick, scan, scoop, and spread. Let's see number 1. Every member of the staff was interviewed to find out who had the news to the press. Had leaked. Number 2. As soon as I wake up, I check social media and my emails. I like to make sure I catch up on any news that happened overnight. That's kind of crazy. Number 3. I didn't really read the news properly. I just scanned the headlines. This word is important, headlines, encabezados, talking about newspapers. And number 4. News of celebrity love affair will always grab the headlines. That's true. That's what catches the attention. Number 5. We managed to scoop the story before our rival newspaper did. 6. The story was spread all over the front page of every newspaper and celebrity magazine. So you got the answers for this exercise. Take note of that, and we're gonna do this last one. It says, look at the pairs of word phrases. Write a definition for each word phrase, then check your definitions in the dictionary. But no, you're not gonna do this nor this. What you're gonna do directly is this. You're gonna search the meaning, not really in a dictionary, or some of them in a dictionary, but you can use also the Google search. For example, we have breaking news. News of events that have taken place very recently on or are in the process of taking place. To break the news. To tell someone some important news to make known. So you have to look for these words in the dictionary. And you have to put it in the post-it in your student's book. But let's pay attention to this task. First, as I mentioned, you have to look at the definitions on Google search or in the word reference site or the word reference application that you can download in your phone. But also, as task you have to do right now, you have to choose any of the options from 1 to 5, from 1, not 1 please, not 1, from 2. From 2 to 5, and look for the definitions and make a comment on Facebook. Mentioning, for example, I choose breaking news. This means news or events that have taken place. So that's what you have to do. And a reminder is that you have to do these comments or participate because they are part of your evaluation. They are 10% that in the end, if you forgot to do any homework, this participation is going to give you an extra help. But remember, it is part of your evaluation. So please make sure you're gonna do your comments and to follow the instructions. So I'm gonna put this up just to check then that you check what you have to do. Again, you have to choose from options from 2 to 5. Look in the Google search or in the word reference application, the definition, and to make a comment on Facebook mentioning I choose any of this, and this means, and whatever you find in the dictionary. Okay, so basically this is all for our class. I'm expecting your evidence of these 2 pages today, and don't forget to make a comment on Facebook. Please don't forget to do the comment. So let's continue with our lessons the next class. Have a good day and greetings. Bye.